What's up guys, Jack here, and in today's video we have a multi-class prototype GT race. All of the highlights from the race edited down, and I'm going to be chaptering this video for you guys so you can skip ahead. Now this race is under variable conditions, so we have a 105 lap race around Suzuka East. Right now we are on a pace lap, and about halfway through this race you're going to see the rain come down and it's going to finish in the wet weather. So there's going to be a lot of strategy involved, and we're going to have a lot of traffic. So we had 6 prototypes and we had 9 GT cars. So we are lining up, getting ready to go. We're going to group up right out of the last corner, and we are going to go with a little bit of play-by-play, and I'm going to be jumping in and out of the video back and forth through some of the more important sessions of the race. So now we are lined up, ready to go, and we are green flag. So we are finally off on our Friday night race. We have one pass already down, and we're going to try and maybe peek up the inside of Shepherd, but we're going to back off, taking it easy. It is really, really important to avoid getting damage. Yellow flags in this race only come out if there are 2 cars involved and one of them receives damage. So we're making our way back through. We're going to try and see if we can get by Hudge. Hudge is struggling a little bit on the start. The Orca doesn't really seem to like the track conditions when they are very low grip, but the more grip the track gets, the more that car will come alive. And you can see the difference. These cars will run the exact same lap times, but the Orca is more of a cornering car. With him struggling in the corners a little bit right at the start, the straight line speed and the advantage of the Cadillac is allowing us to make our way right around the outside, and we're going to be able to finish this pass. And we're just going to try and look to create some space once we finish this move right there, and we're just going to be nice and smooth, be aggressive when we need to be. Now, we have a lot of little small bumps throughout this race, a lot of little incidental contact just like that. But it's all good. This is Forza Motorsport. It's not real sim racing. This is just for fun. This is as close as you can get on your couch. So we're just making our way through, and we're going to start to catch up to the lap traffic here soon, because we chose a very small layout because Forza only caps the lobby sizes at 24. So you don't really get that much lapping going on. But you can see that the aero wash still has a little bit of an effect. So once Shepherd's right up behind Turk, he's slowing him down, allowing us to, even though we're taking some pretty safe lines and keeping it nice and smooth at the start, we're able to really catch up to these guys already. And we're going to make a nice little move under Shepherd. And one thing that was really odd is I was running full front and full rear aero on this car, and I still had a pretty big straight line speed advantage over Shepherd. So we're going to go right up the inside of him, make that pass number 4, and we're going to be able to take the lead. The grid ordering for this race was actually random, but well, we had the lead, but yeah, I'm going to remember that. Shepherd gave us a nice little bump and run NASCAR style, but we're going to try and get this position back, and we actually got a helpful bump draft and a prototype. The Shepherd pushes us a little bit wide, but we're going to get the elbows back out, and we're going to finish off this pass. He's going to try and be super aggressive again, making another early move, but we're going to be able to cover that off. I'm really not too concerned about letting him up the inside right here, as I knew I actually had the straight line speed advantage on him. So as you're going to see, once we start going through the gears, he's got no shot. I don't know what was up with his gears or his tune or his build, but this car did not have the same straight line speed as ours, but he was really quick in the corners. So now we are up to the first of the GT cars. Now I make a mistake here, go up the inside. Shepherd goes on the outside around one of the Porsches already and pulls a big gap with a really aggressive move early on and allows Turk to get back by me. But we get back through all of these GT cars. We are back on to 3rd position, unfortunately, and now we got to try and make our way back to the grid as we get a little bit of argy-bargy. We get a little bit of bogged down behind the Bentley, but we're going to put our foot back down, get back in the draft of Turk, and see if we can draft right back by him on this lap, or if we're going to have to wait, get back behind and just play it safe and wait it out. We still have a lot of traffic to get through. There is a very long way to go in this race. We've had a lot already happen so far in just the first 10 laps. We're barely 10% done. So we gotta play this smart. So again, we're just gonna keep nice smooth lines, putting pressure on Turk, but not really making any moves we don't need to. And right there, he gives us a little bit of a chance, and we're gonna try and make it stick on the outside, but it's not gonna work. We lift a little bit on the exit to make sure we finish that corner off, and then maybe we'll try again in the draft once we catch back up in this corner. So we try and get a nice exit. We have a GT car in front, maybe an opportunity to get by them in turn one, and maybe make a pass early on. But unfortunately, Turk's going to get there first. We're going to go up the inside, but kind of compromise our line a little bit going up copyright. I have a feeling we're going to see copyright a lot going into turn one. Just a little bit of foreshadowing there, but I have a feeling we're going to see him a lot in that corner. So Shepard currently out ahead with a 2.8 second lead on me. Turk directly in front, and Hudge which is Corey, is slowly building up the pace in that Orica. He's just playing this race nice and smart. When I was driving this Cadillac, unfortunately, I was a little bit off with my engine. I got quite a bit of engine damage in this race, and unfortunately, that really didn't help too much in the long course. So on these long roads, I got a lot of engine damage. So it really affected the lap times for me on the longer runs. But we're going to go ahead and let you guys go through some traffic, and I'm going to join you guys back here in just a little bit. 124. And right there, we can see Shepard has made a mistake. He's gone off. The leader of the race has made a mistake. Now the top three are once again within a second of each other. We are battling it out again. So now we are in the draft on Shepard. We have that straight line speed advantage. We might be able to make something work down into turn one, but we are gonna think better of it. Back off a little bit, maybe have another go on the second part of the corner if he went in a little bit too deep. But now we have that traffic, and now we're on the outside of him. And I remember from earlier, and he did not want to give up. He did not want to try to stay behind that GT. He tried to push out wide, but I was already on his outside. He was trapped, and he hit the Bentley. And unfortunately, he was a little bit frustrated with the situation, and we lost Shepard from the race. Bye, Shepard, you will be missed. That is a sad face that is crying. We missed you. So, back into the battle. Now it is down to me and Turk. That's what it looks like. But just keep an eye out. There's still a Hudge. And he really has not lost much time in the past 10-15 laps at all. The gaps have been kind of maintaining pretty well as Turk and I are making our way through the traffic and having a nice fight for the lead. Hudge is maintaining this gap the entire time, which is really strong. So right there we have a GT car going wide. We're going to pinch our apex a little bit harder right there and try and catch right back up to Turk as we make our way through the traffic. So we have a little bit of engine damage there, and we notice that the tires are about to hit 50%. So Turk trying to stay out and wait till the rain. I'm like, no, give me these tires. I don't want to be slow. So I think it's a long race. I think we have 25 laps until the rain comes. I think it's going to be hitting around halfway. So I'm pretty confident I'm going to be able to throw on these soft tires. Again, I've got the fuel load pretty high already, which is good. So my pit stop will be really, really quick when it comes to the pit stop for wets, because I made a short fill here and didn't waste any time on the older tires. A medium tire strategy would have been very, very interesting, but no one ended up opting for that strategy and sticking to it. I believe one or two of the people in the GT lobby did, but that was just they didn't know the rules. So now Turk is on wearing tires. He's in the 50% range, and we are rocking it around fresh. So there we go. We see major copyright again in turn one. Just every single time we find him, we manage to find him in turn one. So we're making up some good time. We're bringing the lead gap down, and we're making our way through the traffic really, really well. So there's this corner right here on the outside is an excellent passing opportunity, but once you get here, you can't do anything really. You can maybe send it, but you're going to get contact and you're going to lose time no matter what you really do here, unless you can get a really early run on the inside. But now we just make a nice little 3-wide move and get past the Bentley with no real problems whatsoever. So making our way back by plenty of GT traffic, and we're still bringing the gap down. We did make one mistake when I went wide in one of the corners and lost about 4 seconds. But other than that, we just made up ground after ground. We kept pushing through the GT field, bringing the lead gap down on the two guys who are staying out of these more worn tires. And it wasn't the strategy that I was going to be using, but we'll see how it works out for Turk and Corey once they make their first pit stops and we see when the rain finally does hit. So now I'm going to go ahead and give you guys back just this wonderful view of flying through the traffic, and I'll see you guys when it comes to rain. The rain is here, and the complexion of the race is going to be changing. It's going to be a lot more difficult to pass. We immediately have a little off-track moment and almost getting a little bit of contact from that portion, but we were able to skate by. We were able to come out of the pits 1.2 seconds ahead of Turk, and we just got to get these tires up to temperature as quickly as we can. Make sure we get through the traffic really good, because right now we try to force our way up the inside because Turk is already on our bumper again, and he's going to be pushing to get back by us. He does not want to run behind. He wants to be a front runner. He's not as content as running in second as I am. So right now we are both really pushing hard. But right ahead of us, you can see the 4th place car, which is an Orica. Now, we were definitely faster than him earlier in the race on the dries, and that was very rude by Turk. Very rude indeed. But in the wet conditions, you're going to see that we really struggled to get by that car, because it's just got the much better stability in the corners in the rainy conditions than the Cadillac does. The Cadillac had a little bit of extra weight on it, so it was very comfortable in the dry, had really good turn in, but in the wet it starts to feel a little bit heavier, and that Orica is just so much more agile that we really don't have the same gap that we originally had, which brings us to the gap that's starting to slowly come down from 3rd. We have Hudge starting to close this gap. So we're about halfway into this race now. We're going around major copyright right here. We have Turk just ahead of us. We're not really too concerned at the moment about Turk, but that gap to Hudge is closing, and it's closing pretty darn quickly. And the more this track gets rubbered up, the more it's going to help the handling cars, because they're just going to be going so much faster and maintaining so much more cornering speed. So it is becoming more and more of a worry for the cars behind. But for Turk and the car ahead, I'm just worried about getting through the traffic as best I can. I think and I feel pretty confident in the prototypes, and on this track in this race, I was pretty confident I had the overall lap time advantage on Turk. So I was comfortable with letting him sit there. But Hudge was a big question mark, and all I could see this entire start to the rain stint is the gap to Hudge coming down. So Turk, you can see, is fighting. He's still up ahead of me. He really hasn't been able to pull away yet, and we're able to make a nice little sneaky move around the outside there. But that Orica that we were catching and nearly put a lap down is still in the same exact spot in front of us. So we're really not making any inroads, and we're seeing Hudge catch. I'm starting to get really concerned, but we're going to keep making our way all the way through traffic. Now, if you guys are interested in racing in these races, please hop into the Discord. I'm leaving a link in the description, and if you guys want to race next Friday, we're going to be racing at Silverstone National in Multiclass. We are working on the build, so we will be using Group C and GTO. If the builds aren't finished in time, as we make a nice little move up the inside of Turk, we'll be using the GT builds from this past Friday and the touring car builds. So we'll be using 12 and 12 touring cars, GTs at Silverstone National if you guys are interested. So we're just continuing to fight, and you can see Turk's getting super aggressive, and he's just not very patient. He desperately wants to get around that Acura as we make a little bit of contact. Sorry, that is an Orica 07. But we're going to be able to finish that pass, and we're going to try and make our way and bring that gap back down to Turk as we try and make sure that Hudge doesn't gain too much ground. So we're just making smart moves through the traffic. I get a couple questions in the comment section about tuning and how do I go faster and stuff like that, and I want to tell you guys about a Discord. It was founded a few years ago, and the people who run it are the fastest players in the game, and they share tunes, builds. They are super helpful, and it is a lot of the fastest people in the game. If you've seen the Forza GT tier lists and the touring car tier list from Harmonic, he is a he is very helpful on that server as well. So I'm going to be linking the Forzaverse Discord down in the description as well. I highly recommend you guys check that out. And if you have any tunes you want to share, any liveries you want to share, you can do that in this Discord. So we're going to go back, cut ahead, just run through the traffic again and enjoy the scenery as we make our way into the next section of the race where we have our next fight. Surprise, I'm back already. Turk made a little bit of a mistake, and now we've got a battle on our hands again. So we have that Orca that was a lap down in front of us, or that we've been trying to put a lap down in front of us, and we have some GTs, and it's just a lot of chaos, and we're gonna try to make it work, but Turk makes it up the inside. We chose the wrong line, and he's gonna finally be able to make it upside the Acura, and we're gonna make a little bit of contact with that Porsche, but we're gonna go back into the lead. Sorry to the Mr. Porsche, but holding my breath again as Turk gives us another bump in the S's. I don't know if that was his Turk. This wasn't the NASCAR race at Suzuka. This is the DPI race at Suzuka. Mr. Bumpy McBumper Pants. All right, so we're trying to keep it nice and smooth. Make sure we get a nice, good exit off of this next corner so Turk just can't get another run. But wait, what? Yep, that's right. Hudge is now here into the battle. We have a three-way battle for the lead, 62 laps into a race. I love it. So let's go. We got a new problem of the faster in the corners Orca and the faster on the straights Cadillac behind us. And right now we don't have immediate traffic in front, so we can't really use anything to get away. So we just have to hope the two cars behind us that are currently battling stay that way and give us a chance to get away. But we got another little bump from the car behind, and we have to just keep trying to keep it nice and smooth with those two guys battling it out behind us. As long as Corey stays in front of Turk, I'm actually somewhat comfortable, because the straight line speed advantage the Cadillac has over the Orca is good, but if Turk's behind me, I could get a bump or something on the corner exit, and he's going to be able to drive right by me. So we got to keep it nice and smooth on the exits. Hopefully Corey can stay there as long as he can. And once we get to the traffic, then maybe we can sneak a gap again. I think if I can get away out of the little bit of aero wash that's still there, I really do struggle with that. When there are cars behind me, I'm far better following than when there's a car directly on my tail. Even when I'm slightly faster, I struggle to always pull away. So right now we have Corey all over us, but again, I'm not too worried until he gets by us in the early part of the track. That's when we're going to be in trouble. But if he gets by us like right now, we're going to be able to just drive away. So there you see him. He's probably going to be struggling with Turk right on his back, and there he is. There's Turk. So we check to see how much engine damage we have, and we see the GT cars up here. We're going to try and figure out a way to go. Turk's going to sneak up the inside, but we're going to go back up the inside on Turk, but Hudge is also on the inside of us, and Turk spins out, and there is a yellow flag. The yellow flag is out. And one thing that's going to happen with this yellow flag, I just wanted to add, we race back to the line. So right now this is a fight for the lead. But the LMP2 car that we were fighting with that was about to be a lap down, well, guess where they get to go? They get to go back around the track as we slow down, and we're going to be entering the pits here. And we're going to get some fresh tires and fuel. We are now good to go till the end. Now let's skip back up all the way to the restart. We ended up coming back out in first, Corey in second, Turk in third, and there's the car after nearly being a lap now and holding off that position for so long, it paid off. Now he's right back there. So we get a great launch on the Orca. Turk gets a good restart, and oof, there is some kerfuffle behind us as they both drive it in super deep. Turk's already being super aggressive on the restart, but one thing neither of us really paid attention to is the fact that the tires are very, very cold right now. So it was a little bit of a struggle on this first lap getting the things back up to temperature, but we now have two Orcas behind us that are in contention, and I believe that they are the better car in these conditions from the experience. So that's a lot of pressure that's going to be being put onto Turk and I. So right here, we just got to get a good exit. We see that Corey's got back by. With him in my draft, he might be able to hold off Turk. It looks like Turk's going to go for a move up the inside on Hudge, and is he going to be able to make it stick, as we almost get a penalty for going off track right there. And Turk is going to be able to make that move stick and get back into second position. But Turk just made a mistake while fighting with Corey, and he has gone off the track. And with the GT field so close after the restart, he has to wait and get back on track in a safe manner. He has lost a lot of time. So now we have Hudge. It is a 1v1 fight if there are no more yellows. So it's just about who can get through this GT field better and who can avoid making any mistakes. So far, we haven't really driven off the track and lost large amounts of time. We were involved in one little incident, but we really didn't lose too much time in that. So we've had a clean race so far, pretty much, and so has Hudge. So ending up where we are in the current positions, it makes sense. So it's just about who can keep it cleaner. But now, the engine damage problem I had earlier, I need to make sure I'm smooth with my downshifts to avoid damaging my gearbox. So I'm going to come back later in the race, but enjoy the passes, enjoy the battles until then. coming down with less than 20 laps to go, I'm starting to get a little bit more engine damage each lap as we make a little bit of a mistake there going off track. And I'd like to apologize real quick for my voice sounding a little bit funny. I'm starting to get a little bit of a runny nose and I'm sick. I'm not sure what it is yet, but we'll figure it out. But back into the battle, we have this Orca 07 all over the back of our car, and our only saving grace right now is our straight line speed. But every time I downshift a little bit too early, I'm damaging the engine and it's making it a little bit less horsepower. So if I had about 1.5% engine damage, I'm losing about 7 to 8 horsepower, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when it's going to come down to a difference of how much I'm going to be able to get back by him if he does get by me, or how much I'm able to pull away on the straights to be able to give myself the breathing room, it's going to make a big effect. So lap time wise, it won't really affect me that much, but it'll really affect the raceability. So now Corey's really able to stay with us a lot better than before, so we have to keep pushing as hard as we can. We can't really coast around anymore and just be smooth. So this corner right here is going to be our most important corner every single lap. We need to make sure we just get a good run, blast away on this straightaway, build up as much of a gap as we can before Corey can get to us. So he is all over us now in the tight and twisty section. We gotta try and make sure we get a good run, but he's able to kind of sneak up the inside there. But right here, again, we have this straight line speed advantage and we're gonna be able to blast away. That's why it's super important for us to make sure we keep getting good runs out of there so he can't get back by us here. Because if Corey can get in front of me before if he can get in front of me before turn 1 and I can't get back by him, I am not going to be able to pass him. He's just going to drive away into the sunset right now because he really has the lap time advantage on me and he's got a better handling car. So as long as I can keep slowing him down and blasting away on that front straightaway with the tiny bit of engine advantage I still have, I should be able to lock this race down. And I'm really hoping I can just make the right moves in traffic, which will allow me to keep the lead and keep Hudge behind me. I want to win in my own race. I haven't done it yet. This is hopefully going to be my first one. I'm pushing all the way for it. I want it pretty badly. After racing this long, I was pretty desperate, and I think everyone was getting pretty desperate. We're going to actually do a little bit shorter. We're going to go for 50 minutes. This race ended up being almost an hour and 30 minutes long. Possibly, actually, it was a little bit over. And we got a little bit of contact from Hudge, and he's going to sneak up the inside, and we got a little bit of damage. So right there, we were taking it a little bit too easy. He was a little bit aggressive, and he was able to sneak by him. But now we got to make sure this GT car can slow him down, because we still have the straight line speed advantage. So we need to make sure we can get a good run out of this corner, get into that draft right away, because if we do not get back by Hudge right now, this is going to be race over. So right now we're going to be making a move up the inside. We got a good draft. We're going to hold the inside line and we're going to muscle him out of the way as we go up the inside of another one of our rivals. We're putting a lap down. Breathe. We got the lead back. We just got to keep running nice, tight lines, carrying that apex, and just getting good corner exits. We do that, we should be good, and we got to make good runs in the lap traffic. If we can get Hudge trapped behind someone for just a couple sections of these corners, like this last corner right here, we'll be able to get almost a second away, and that should be able to give us enough breathing room to kind of finish this out. So we're going to try and get by this Corvette right here. We got another Corvette to get by. Got a nice little battle for them. And we have about a half-second lead. You're going to see how quickly that disappears after turn 1. So we're pretty good into the entry on turn 1, but you can see more towards the exit more towards the exit. As when that Orica really lines up off those corners really well. So we got to be extra cautious. The Orca does have a little bit more tire width than the Cadillac, but the Cadillac naturally has a little bit more downforce than the Orca does. So it balances out a little bit more on the longer tracks. So we have to be super cautious, and we have this GT traffic up ahead. I'm looking forward to more traffic. I need as much gap between me and Hudge as possible because he is putting on a lot of pressure right now. So every straightaway we have is a blessing. So we're coming up to this GT car. We're going to try and get him in the middle of turn 1 right here. We're going to go right up the inside, and yes, there we go. Hudge is stuck behind for a little bit. We're going to be able to get a nice little bit of a gap, but now we have to worry about this car up ahead. We always seem to catch him in the S's, and he is very difficult to pass because he's got some really good pace. So we're going to try and maybe get on the outside of him right here, but he pushes out a little bit, and I'm going to try and get on the gas too early, and I get into the grass, and I make a horrible mistake. Coming up to 8 laps to go, I give him the lead, but he's still stuck behind that Aston Martin. So we still have a chance. So we try and maybe sneak up the inside at the start of the corner, but we get a good exit, and he spins the tires a little bit. It's a joy to see. And we're going to hop in the draft, which really gives us that straight line speed advantage, and we're going to be able to finish this pass. Before we had our engine damage, without the draft, we were able to hit 180 miles an hour. Now we're only able to get close to that with a draft. So we're back in front of Hudge again. Laps are winding down. We got more GT traffic up ahead. Really small gap. But we're able to kind of get a little bit enough away, but he's pulling back in. As you can see, we have that engine damage. We just got to keep pushing as hard as we can. We got another GT car. This one we're going to be able to get a draft off of, but we have a little bit of contact from the inside. We have a little bit more contact on the exit with Hudge, and we're going to put the power down. We're going to be able to make it work. Another lap. We breathe on the straightaway again. Time to hold our breath for about 40 more seconds. Let's go. Going into turn 1 and turn 2, just make sure we get a good exit. Block him off. Do not let him get a good enough run to get alongside. He will drive away. Right now, I'm desperately looking at the mini-map. Where's the next GT car? It pops up. I'm super excited. I just got to hold him off until we get to that point, but he gets inside of me, and I try to hold the outside here, and we stay on the outside, but we're going to still have to battle him again in the next corner. We try to stay as close as we can to him. If we get a good exit, we have a chance to get back by him, and so far, oh no, we get a little bit loose, and we get a little bit sideways on the exit. That might be enough for him to get away into turn 1. We're going to maybe try it up the inside, and we're going to maybe try it with this GT car. We should have maybe tracked out a little bit wider there and got a better run. Maybe we would have had a chance, but right now he's got a good run, and he's going to be able to use the Orca's better grip in the wet to his advantage. So we're pushing down. I know like I sound kind of sad right now, but it's just I feel like I got a bad case of the cold, getting worse as I record this video, so apologies. We're going down, and Hudge gets a little bit of a gap to the point where he is out of the remaining aero wash that's still in this game. So you can see we still do have that straight line speed advantage. We get a little bit of time into the entry. He gains it on the exit, and then we start pulling back about 0.2 of a second on the straightaway. But you can see going into turn 1, we are 2 to 3 miles an hour down now, which it really does add up more than you would think. So Hudge has clear track ahead of him. There's just a couple more GT cars to pass. I'm hoping he gets held up in the worst areas, but right now he's just not getting that unlucky, and he's running some really good lines. But if we look back at the scoreboard, you can see 3rd and 4th, we get a battle with Turk. Turk is closing in on that podium position. He wants at least to get that podium because he ran a pretty strong race. As we go up the inside for our 88th overtake of this race, and Corey is able to pull out a little bit more of a gap. Now, we're coming up for our second to last overtake on GT car, and we're going to be coming up to the last lap of the race. So we did our best to try and close that gap, but we got a little bit more engine damage towards the end as Hudge is coming up to start the last lap of the race. Right now, we are closing in on the GT car to make our final and 90th overtake of the race in 105 laps of Suzuka East. This race was tiring. I'm going to be honest, I was really tired at the end of it. I was absolutely exhausted, but I had an absolute blast. I really felt kind of immersed for one of the first times in Forza. I kind of enjoyed this little zoomed in cockpit view and driving through the traffic. It was really, really fun. I wish that maybe in the future Forza could increase the lobby size and we could get something a little bit more, maybe like 36, and really, really get some fun private multi-class races going. But for now, I can just dream as Hudge goes across, crosses the line, takes the victory. Congratulations, Hudge, on your first Friday night victory. Hopefully I can get mine coming next week. And as we patiently wait to see who crosses the line next and who's going to come home in third position. And it looks like it is going to be